Okay, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Ulig. I'm going to talk about customer onboarding. The title is Design the Most Boring Game Possible. Why game? Because we're going to look at the gaming industry a lot and see what we can learn from them and from their raging success. Wait, I have to quickly change that. Now I'm back on track. So why should you listen to me? I've consulted international enterprises for customer experience. I co-founded and scaled a company for digital adoption and user onboarding. I helped hundreds of customers with their own onboarding and digital adoption challenges. I have shipped products for the B2B enterprise as well as for consumers. And I'm currently rethinking habit formation for the customer health tech space. If you want to reach out later, overall, I'm telling you that so you can interpret the following slides. A lot is very enterprise focused. I'm going to be speaking extremely fast. Why? Because we have 80 slides, 20 minutes. That means 15 seconds per slide. So please make use of the fact that this talk is recorded so you can come back and revisit single slides and also check out the resources, or also use the slides that I guess will be shared with your team for your brainstorming sessions afterwards, because ideally you turn what you learned today here into action. So let's go. What is onboarding? I hate to start with these generic definitions, but I really think it's important to clear up a couple of misconceptions that float around onboarding. And so I start actually with my own definition of what onboarding is, and that is to lead customers to experience the value proposition that they were promised. And I'm going to lead you also through a quick example to demonstrate why these 3 points are so essential for customer onboarding. So our imaginary product is an amazing hammer. Not only can we smash nails into the wall, we can also pull them out of the wall. And this value proposition is new, that you can pull the nails. And if we want to lead customers to actually experience this value proposition, that you can pull the nails, ideally, we don't just ship the hammer, because then we don't really lead them. Customers can still have a terrible experience, which they will project onto this beautiful product. What we could do is we could actually ship the product together with a piece of wood. There's a nail already in there. And the first challenge for the customer is to use the hammer to pull the nail again out of it. Amazing experience. I will tell all of my friends about how great this hammer is. But by definition, we have made the customer use the product and experience this value proposition. Now they know, now they can share, and they will actually use this feature instead of just having heard about it in theory. So that just covers 2 parts of our definition. So we have to make sure that we actually lead them and they have to experience the value proposition, right? Theory is not praxis. What I'm going to focus most about in this talk is the last part, that apparently it needs to be the value proposition that we also promised. Why is that important? We often say we have to deliver what we promised. And that's terrible, because if we have to deliver what marketing and sales promise, that's mayhem. That basically means that they create the roadmap for us. They go out and promise whatever sales, and then later we have to build it. To a part that is, of course, true, but it shouldn't be our reality all the time. And so in product, we have to make sure that we actually promise in marketing and sales what we deliver. I give you an example. So I'm based in Bavaria, and I'm going hiking. So I'm looking for a new pair of hiking shoes. And I walk down the street, there's a store advertising new shoes, amazing. I walk into the store, perfect onboarding experience. The sales rep is extremely friendly. They sit me down, they have me try these shoes and whatsoever, but they sold me the wrong shoes. But this is an experience that I often have in product, that the advertisement is a completely different feature than what they later sell me in product. I have to then go into product and look for it, and my patience is thin. I will be out of that product faster than you can count to 3. So in the gaming analogy, you can imagine that you have a customer that only has one life and many challenges that actually threaten to take that life away. So we shy our customers away faster than we actually imagine. So we don't deliver what we promise. We make sure we actually promise what we currently deliver in product, right? The features are mostly all built already. So Mario ideally is actually receiving the kiss after he saved the princess, but that's just Mario, okay? That's not my personal opinion. The biggest misconception, therefore, is thinking that onboarding is the product team's job. And we all agree it's not. And we're going to explore why. So we're going to use a customer journey map. If you don't know what that is or haven't used it before, I added a couple of reading resources also at the appendix. And so you can top up your game. For us right now, the question is, where does the onboarding experience actually start? So I foreshadowed that a little bit by saying the advertising, and that's actually true in most cases. The onboarding experience starts with an ad, for example, while we're lying in bed. The customer journey map therefore starts as early as possible. And I'll walk you through it. Don't worry. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. On the customer journey map, on the x-axis, we map out the entire journey. So all the different steps we have to go through, from advertising to me walking in the store, sales rep, and buying that shoe. And on the y-axis, we map out the experience. And there are a couple of interesting categories which we will explore together. So the touch points you are familiar with. This is basically the different areas that I will address. Could be here the ads, the website, the qualification, the trial, the sales, etc., etc. And there are, of course, also specific teams responsible for each and one of them. We have the actions that we want our customers to do, and we have the actions that our customers actually want to do in that stage in order to get the value proposition that we promise them. And typical also for the customer journey map is that we map out the emotions. Beautiful experiment also for empathy of our PMs. Overall, what we do with these customer journey maps is we run obviously tons of user interviews. And when we get all these insights, we map the insights onto the stage and on into the category. So we realize at some point our users are extremely frustrated in a certain job to be done in a specific part of the user journey. And this is how we end up filling this user journey to begin with. Now, every user journey comes with a clear set of expectations, right? And they're most often set in the first stage. So in the advertising, if I was advertised hiking shoes, I don't want to end up with sexy sandals. And therefore, what we see in the expectation is that in product, our expectation is to experience the value proposition that was promised to us, and that's only product. But we have expectations along the entire customer journey, and we have to make sure that we actually meet these expectations in order to deliver a beautiful customer onboarding experience that keeps customers motivated and buying. The joke obviously here is that we often think within the product space of our customer journey that onboarding is the possible solution to increase the problems that arise in the trial period or in our product period. That's obviously wrong. And this is already a foreshadowing over what we're going to talk. And this is what are the possible solutions? How do we actually improve the onboarding experience for our customers? And I don't want to spoil everything yet. Mostly the difficulty is that we jump from this very shallow map that we have so far yet onto the solution space, and we bombard again customers what we think is best for them. So far, no news for you. You are, of course, smart product managers who know all that already. So finally, let's cut the chase and see what this talk is really about. So I want to add more stages to our customer journey map. And this is the real thought experiment that you can later try out together with your teams. So first on, I want you to add the pains on your customer journey map. That means the customer is experiencing pains, and I want you to really be aware of them and map them out. So pains are anything that keeps customers from buying. For example, I don't trust them with my data. It's missing a clear feature. It may solve my problem or not. I'm unsure. It's overwhelmingly complicated. I've never heard back from them. I don't understand either the people nor the product, whatever. And as you can see, these pains stack. So they become increasingly difficult for the customer to overcome. Unfortunately, also, these pains can come from all directions. So we are completely helpless often in how to solve these pains for the customer because they can come from within the buyer persona. For example, they're just not motivated or incentivized to go through the painful buying process that we have, or we have just our sales rep had a bad day. Difficult to influence these factors. So overall, if the challenges are too high, our customers won't take the leap of faith into a product and face basically a bunch of enemies in the forms of a painful customer journey to get a value proposition that he is yet unsure about because our customers haven't experienced it yet. So in our game analogy, these pains are basically the enemies that we place on each level that our customer has to survive. And keep in mind, Mario has only one life. Our customers are very impatient. They will leave. Next up, I want you to map out the gains on a positive note. Finally, we talk about something nice, and we often forget that we have lots of gains in each stage. And so gains are anything that motivates our customers to buy. That means, let's say we offer a goose that lays golden eggs. And on top of that, we're giving that away for free. I mean, it really doesn't matter how difficult our customer experience is. We can throw plenty of pain at the customer. They will still find a way to go through it because the gains are so desirable. Keep in mind though, even though we remove all the pains from the experience, if the value proposition isn't attracting or is the wrong one for the customer, they won't even go through the easiest onboarding challenge that we throw at them. So along this customer journey, there are definitely specific gains that customers can get. For example, after we talked, we had the trial, for example, and we talked to our sales reps, and we have to manually negotiate a deal with them. That's a definite pain, right? Maybe I just want to click a button and then I have the product. A gain that I can see in that stage is, as a customer, I can also get a better deal or a specific deal, or I can negotiate specific features I want. So be clear in your brainstorming session together with your PMs what these gains can be, what benefits are already in each stage for the customer. And why is that important to map them out individually, the pains and the gains? Because the delta between them basically defines the motivation of our users to go through that stage. That means, that means if the gains are higher than the pains, Mario will take the leap of faith and actually go through our customer experience. And the size of the delta determines basically how fast customers go through our customer experience, how resilient they are against pains that we throw at them. They determine how long they will end up using our product. And they also determine the adoption rate, basically how many users, how fast will jump onto our product and actually become successful with it. You could also add the exploration. Once I have experienced a great experience in the product and they see that there's lots of value and I'm working with a product that is reducing pains wherever they can, I'm also more willing to explore the product. That's a very interesting slide. You can later come back with your teams and try to figure out how big is your delta. On the other hand, we know from the gaming industry, if a game is too difficult, while the gains are uncertain or too little, then we will stop playing. And that is often the case that we see in too difficult customer journeys when it comes to, like we see that in objections that often are, we get ghosted by customers or they have no budget or bad timing. No customer will ever tell us, yeah, your value proposition wasn't big enough for the pain that I have to endure to get my hands on the product. And part of that pain is, of course, also to the money we have to pay for the product. To be a bit more specific for all of you, is we can measure the motivation with existing KPIs. I guess most of you are already measuring those KPIs along the customer journey, but I'm not sure if you are actually mapping them and trying to figure out how you can really improve them. So obviously, marketing is improving conversion, or customer success is trying to reduce the number of tickets. But these KPIs are a clear indicator what the delta between pains and gains are. If the number of tickets is very high, you see that the gain and customers drop out of that stage. We know that the gains are overwhelming, the pains are overwhelming. And so along the customer journey, we see how many people drop out at every stage. And therefore, we have a good indication where we actually have to improve our onboarding experience. By the way, far beyond product. Keep that in mind. A single sales rep can make me leave the store. So our job is basically to make the onboarding, or actually the entire customer journey, as easy as possible. And easy, by the definition of a game, is removing the challenges and increasing the rewards. Basically, we just need to understand if we need to add more rewards along the journey, or remove more difficulty. And that you can do with your team in a nice brainstorming session. Now, again, you come back and say, Kai, terrible. I mean, it must be beautiful to live in your beautiful world where all this actually checks out. Our solution, on the other hand, is way too complex. Customers need to sign an NDA. There's heavy involvement from customer success or even engineering involved to even get the product set up. And I feel you. I know that. I've seen hundreds of these solutions, and we also have seen how these solutions can actually fly and build a beautiful customer experience. This is what this map is actually for. There are challenges, of course, that you can't overcome. If it is required that that engineering and customer success are setting up the demo, for example, then that's not something that you can just quickly remove. This pain will persist. And this is why I want you to add another level to our customer journey map, and that's power-ups. And now you think, power-ups? This guy has lost his mind. What is he talking about? Power-ups in games are basically superpowers that we grant the player for a limited amount of time. And these superpowers allow us to endure the pains or overcome the challenges that the game throws at us. And that keeps us motivated despite the pain still be there. So what does it mean? If you played Super Mario, you're already familiar with this. If you collect a star, I'm invincible. It means I can relax for a while. If I pick up a mushroom, I can survive a fatal mistake. If I pick up a feather, I all of a sudden can fly. I'm superior. These superpowers motivate our customers to overcome the challenges despite them being overwhelming, because now I feel invincible. I will give it a try. The leap of faith is not a problem for me anymore. Keep in mind, when we design these superpowers for our customers, that the motivation for the company to buy our value proposition is not the same one as the value proposition for the person that we sell our solution to. They're two different people. The company's interest is to make more money and increase the LTV, and therefore upselling the accounts. And as a solution, they come up with the idea to improve their user onboarding. Nothing wrong with that. But the person we sell to maybe just wants to look good. Maybe they want a raise. Maybe they want to work less, or they want to just outsource the solution. So keep in mind that when we design the superpowers for our customers, that the company's interest is not the buyer's interest. And that should give us a bit of inspiration on how that could look like. Which superpowers you need to grant your customers, I can't answer you. This is for a workshop for you internally. I just want to give you the framework to actually find it out. In our case, we can look, for example, in the trial period and say an absolute superpower is that we grant our customers the knowledge to use our service without actually having used it once. And we do that, for example, with guided tours. Or in customer success, we make the person that has the problem an absolute VIP, regardless of the package they booked, make them feel great, get the solution, the problem out of their way. Or, for example, an absolute superpower that is overlooked in the enterprise sales journey is have pre-filled RFPs for your customers. I mean, if they have the standards for themselves already, make your reporting as good as possible. Help the person that is buying your solution. The company is buying the value proposition most often, but help the person that has to endure the pains, right? They send a soldier and says, get that value proposition for us. Make it easy for that person. Make that person feel special. Help them overcome the challenges. Make them feel like Mario when he picked up the feather or the star or the mushroom. So, quick summary. Onboarding is leading customers to experience the value proposition that they were promised. So we went through that. And in order to figure out what we promised, we have to go all the way back to the beginning of the customer journey. And therefore, we figured out that onboarding starts way before product and is therefore, of course, a job far beyond product. Product-led growth is ultimately about aligning all of our customer-facing teams along the customer experience. Furthermore, we have explored that it is our challenge to build the most boring onboarding possible. And that means we need to remove all the pains that customers have to face and give them all the gains, so they will just rush from start to end in a matter of seconds. Imagine a game that has no challenges, right? Mario just saves Daisy in the first level. That's boring, but it creates for us in businesses a highly converting onboarding funnel and happy customers. And for challenges that we can't overcome, brainstorm with your team how you can drop power-ups for the customer persona, for the human being on the other end on the screen. And on a personal note, the framework I presented to you today, so basically the extension of the customer journey map it out for yourself for a typical workday of yours. What are the pains? What are the gains the pains you have to endure and the gains you can actually achieve? What are the superpowers that you can grant yourself? Where can you get them from? Who can drop them for you? It's a very interesting experiment, which will do wonders for your mental health. I'm a bit over time, far over time actually. Quickly, you will wonder, Kai, you haven't mentioned anything yet about how to improve the onboarding experience in products yet. The game industry actually offers us a lot of interesting insight. I will not go into that. We don't have the time, unfortunately. You can come back to that slide and get inspired. You will be surprised. Games also have a beautiful definition on what makes a good game, and I tried my best to translate that into product. I didn't have to change much. Also, beautiful slides. Come back. Feel free to reach out and discuss this with me after the talk, as well as a short overview over interesting solutions if you just want to outsource the onboarding job within product. Right, the job is still remaining for the rest of the company. And a couple of reading suggestions, really good books that also cover a lot of topics that I mentioned here today. Whew, and with that, way over time, but I guess it was worth it. So thank you very much for listening and for all the attention you brought today for this talk.